Good morning, we're in the record. Good morning. As chairperson of the Alcoholic Beverage and Cannabis Board for the District of Columbia, and in accordance with DC Code Section 2571 at SEEK of the Open Meetings Act, OMA, I'm welcoming you to the regular scheduled meeting of the Alcoholic Beverage and Cannabis Board. This meeting is being conducted pursuant to guidance made available by the District of Columbia's Office of Open Government regarding electronic meetings held by public bodies. Electronic meetings by the ABC Board are authorized pursuant to Section 2577A of the DC Code. Pursuant to the OMA requirements, notice of today's meeting was provided 48 hours in advance of the meeting on ABCA's website and on the District Central meeting calendar. The notice included the time, date, agenda, and call-in or login information for public participation. This electronic meeting has been posted by a WebEx account provided by the District of Columbia government. Please address any questions or complaints to the OOG at opengovoffice@dc.gov. My name is Donovan Anderson. I'm chairperson of the board. I would like to introduce the other members of the ABC board who are also participating electronically. Please respond when I announce your name. Mr. James Short.
James Short, present.
Mr. Silas Grant.
Silas Grant, present.
The board has 3 members in attendance for the conduct of business today, and that constitutes a quorum. Before we get underway with today's hearing calendar, I need to make a few instructions very clear so that the conduct of these hearings is understood by everyone. There are 12 cases scheduled for today. Once your case is called, I will take a moment for IT specialists to elevate the rights for each party to enable their camera and microphone, enable your equipment. If your case is not being heard, you will remain mute and your camera will be disabled. At the conclusion of each case, the parties will have the option to leave. If the party chooses to stay, all cameras and microphones for the concluded case will be disabled. Should you have any questions or require technical assistance during the hearing, please submit them using the question and answer feature. Our first case this morning is a protest hearing, status case number 24 PRO 00006, No Kids Allowed, license number 126742. Good morning, Mr. Oriana. Can you please elevate the rights of the licensee and the protestant in this case?
Sure. Chander Jayaraman, your access has been elevated. Mackenzie Mans, your access has been elevated, and that appears to be all, Chairman.
Thank you.
Good morning, members of the ABC board.
Good morning, sir. Hotline me, please.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
You all.
Miss Mams, can you please spell and state your name for the record?
Yes, sir. Mackenzie Mans, MACKENZIE MANNS.
And what is your relationship to this establishment?
I'm a representative for the establishment.
All right, thank you. Mr. J. Raman, can you please spell and state your name for the record?
Yes, Chander Jayaraman, CHANDER, last name JAYARAMAN.
And your relationship to the establishment, sir?
I am actually representing ANC 6B on this matter.
Good morning. All right,
Good morning.
are there any preliminary matters in this case? I mean that, not substantive, but do you have any preliminary issues that you need to bring to the attention of the board?
I don't believe that there's any issues that we need to bring to the attention of the board. We're in amicable conversations with the ANC about the settlement agreement, and it seems like both sides are going to be able to finish it by the end of this week, hopefully.
Well, thank you. Any preliminary matters you want to bring to the attention of the board, Mr. J. Raman?
I concur with what Ms. Mans has said. However, I do want to attention to the board. It's we are having trying to figure out the inherent conflict between the required sign that says a person's under 18 are not allowed inside a cannabis retailer, but then the Human Rights Act says you can't deny access. And so how do we kind of make those mesh, because they're in conflict with each other? So I think we're getting there, and I completely agree. I think we're working through the language. I think we're down to the last couple of items, and like Ms. Mann said, we expect to have those resolved by the end of the week, so that our committee can take it up next week.
Well, you can always reach out to our legal office if you need some understanding. I know that generally the law states that if you're not an adult, you cannot be in the facility. But I believe if you are a patient, you can be in the facility if you're a patient younger than 18. But you can reach out to our legal office and we can provide you whatever guidance you require to move through this issue. This is the second protest hearing status that we have had on a cannabis license. So I know that this is going to be, it's going to be a learning process for all of us, and the board included. And so therefore, please reach out to our legal office and we can provide you whatever guidance you might require to ensure that this is a smooth process for both parties. Okay.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, Mr. Chair. I agree with you wholeheartedly, and there are some issues that the board's going to have to weigh in on. And so I appreciate you being open and understanding that this is new for all of us.
Yes. Now, if this matter is not scheduled, if this matter is not settled, it is scheduled for a protest hearing on March 20th, 2024 at 1:30 p.m. So do the parties feel confident that this matter will be settled?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, I know Mr. J. Rahman has been to several protests here, and you probably have never been to one. And so, you know, just in case, I just want to make sure that I put it in the record. So I'll let you know, ma'am, what the process and procedures are if this matter goes to a protest hearing.
I appreciate that.
Now that we have scheduled this matter for a protest hearing, there are a few things that I would like to instruct the applicant and the protestants about, so that the protest hearing is focused and addresses only those issues that are being protested. The board does not intend to hear testimony matters that are not relevant to this case. You should have received by electronic or regular mail a letter explaining the protest process and a copy of the protest information form and a copy of the exhibit form. If you do not have these documents, please contact our legal office and we will provide them to you. It is imperative that you review the rules closely and adhere to them before and during the protest hearing. You're also required to complete and submit a protest information form, PIP, and exhibit form 7 days before the hearing. And so what this means is that if this matter goes to a protest hearing, 7 days before the hearing, you're supposed to do the PIP. The PIP you'll have the documents you're going to rely upon at the hearing, and also the witnesses that you will call. These two forms and the accompanying documents need to be submitted to Abras Legal and to the opposing parties in this matter. If we do not receive a copy of your PIP 7 days before the hearing, if the other side doesn't receive it 7 days before the hearing, your case may be subject to dismissal. Likewise, if we do not receive a copy of the exhibit form and the exhibits themselves, your exhibits may be excluded from the record upon a finding that the opposing party has been prejudiced or no good cause for failure to submit has been shown. Likewise, witnesses other than the party may also be subject to exclusion if not identified on the PIP. Accordingly, these forms are very important. They greatly assist the board in narrowing the protest issues, facilitating the process, and keeping the parties informed during the hearing. They likewise provide notice to the opposing parties, enabling them to better prepare for the hearing. As you're also aware, all of these hearings they're conducted virtually. You will have 1 hour to present your case, and you'll only be allowed to call 5 witnesses. If you require more time to present or if you need more witnesses, please make a motion to the board. As I stated before, this is a new territory for all parties. And so please, if this matter is going to move forward or in this process, any questions you have, both for the applicant and both for the protestant, please reach out to our legal office and we will provide you whatever guidance you require to ensure that this works for you. Okay?
That sounds great. I appreciate
You're
that.
welcome.
Thank you.
All right, if you have any, yes, Mr. J. Rahman.
I have one broad request, sir,
Yes,
on
sir.
behalf of ANC 6B. We're trying to find the right regulation, but the regulations have all the previous testimony from last summer and only amends the original. So we can't find access to a clean set of regulations that lays out what the rulemaking was, what the final document looks like. It is not available anywhere, and so we would be grateful if the ABCA could publish a clean version that doesn't include the testimony from the public and responses by the board, since those have been resolved, and to publish something that's a clean version of the rulemaking and regulations.
There are a significant amount of emergency and proposed rules. So specifically, what is it that you're asking for, sir? Because I know everything is on our website, but just let me specifically tell me what it is that you're asking for, so I'll make sure that if it's not for what you're asking, if it's not available, I'll ensure that the agency publishes that.
So what we've received is from your council. It's called the Medical Cannabis Technical Third Proposed Emergency, dated December 6, 2023. And when you open that document, it still has pages and pages of testimony and then the board's response to the testimony. And it says what the particular section was changed to or amended to based on that testimony. However, there is no one clean document that shows from March 2023 to December everything that's been decided. What are the final rules? I'm unable to find them. I go to the ABC website. The medical cannabis takes me to 22C, which was a dispensary, the old cannabis regulation. So we'd like to have a clean version published of the current regulations as they stand now.
Yeah, that's fine. Send an email to our legal office to ask to make the specific request, and I'll talk to once that's provided to you. If it's not on our website, I will make sure that the agency has that copy available, or we can direct you where it is on our website. Okay?
That would be great. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you very much, and have a great day, and good luck in your negotiations. Thank you. All right. Bye-bye. All right. The next case on our calendar is case number 24 PRO 00002, 1922 Lounge, license number 126827. Mr. Oriana, can you please elevate the rights of the protestants and the licensee in this case?
Sure thing. Frank Chauvin, your access has been elevated. Jeff Jackson, your access has been elevated, and that appears to be all term.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning. Where's Mr. Chauvin? Can you please appear on camera? All right. Good morning, Mr. Jackson. Can you please spell and state your name for the record and your representation?
Yes, sir. Jeff Jackson, Jeff, last name Jackson, Jackson, representing 1922 Lounge.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, Mr. Chauvin. Can you please spell and state your name for the record?
Yes, it's Frank Chauvin, Chau, V as in Victor, IN, and I am with the representative of the Westminster Neighborhood Association.
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
All right. For the parties, are there any preliminary matters in this case, starting with you, Mr. Jackson?
No, sir.
Mr. Chauvin?
There has been one complication since Mr. Jackson and the applicant and the protestant, Westminster Neighborhood Association, met last week. I had missed an item that has not been brought to the table in discussions, because our discussions are going pretty well, except I had missed one of my team members, protestant team members, request that the live entertainment endorsement be dropped, because this is in the moratorium, the proposed moratorium zone.
Let me ask you, that's substantive. So if you need to go back to Mr. Jackson and discuss that, that's fine. But that's more substantive that you're bringing to the board's attention. Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess, Mr. Jackson, I think what's being stated is that Mr. Chauvin is saying that I guess you had mediation, and I guess the parties need to maybe need to have further conversations to see whether or not this matter can be settled or whether or not it's going to go to a protest hearing.
Yeah, I'm open to further conversation.
All right,
Thank you.
fine.
I appreciate
Okay.
it. Yes, we've been working well together.
All right, that's fine. So if this matter is not settled, it's scheduled for a protest hearing on March 13th at 1:30 p.m. And so I believe both parties are familiar with the protest hearing status. Just want to remind both parties, if this matter goes to a protest hearing, 7 days before the hearing, you're required to you have to do the PIP, and failure by either side to provide the PIP, or if you have not provided reasonable cause to the board why this has not been done, you might be prohibited from moving forward to rely on documents and witnesses that have not been disclosed. All right. Any questions by anyone?
No, sir. Mr. Chairman, is it possible we can set up another mediation date?
Yes, I will ask legal to schedule another mediation for 1922 lounge. All right, so I'll make sure, let me tell our legal office to have another, and I think legal has, yes. I'm about to tell legal and legal. So yes, we will ensure that another mediation date is provided.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So good luck with your mediation, and good luck with your discussions. If this matter is not settled, then we'll see you for a protest hearing on March 30th. March 13th. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye. The next case in our calendar is case number 23 PRO 00108, Okabul Street Food and Restaurant, license number 126820. This case has been canceled. A settlement agreement has been provided to the board for its consideration, which we will consider on our legal agenda later on this morning. The next case in our calendar is case number 23 PRO 00089, National Holistic Hearing Center, license number 117378. Mr. Oriana, can you please elevate the rights of the licensee and the protestant?
Sure thing. Michael
Thank you.
Bobo, your access has been elevated. And I've reached out, but that appears to be all, Chairman.
All right. Mr. Bobo, can you please schedule, all right. Is there anyone from ANC? This is ANC 2B. So can you just one more time, Mr. Oriana, can you reach out to see if there's anyone from ANC 2B?
Sure thing.
Right, thank you. I'll give them one more minute and then
No response, Chairman.
All right, thank you. All right, this is a protest hearing for 23 PRO 00089, National Holistic Hearing Center license number 117378. Mr. Bobo, can you please spell and state your name for the record and your affiliation with this establishment? You're on mute, Mr. Bobo.
Thank you, sir. My name is Michael, Michael, Bobo, Bobo, and I am an owner of National Holistic Healing Center.
Good morning, sir. All right, this is a protest hearing status. Anyway, all parties are informed once a protest is filed that it's mandatory that you show up at the roll call and that you show up at the protest hearing status. This matter was scheduled for protest hearing status at 10:30 this morning. It is now 10:54, and the ANC2B who protested this the granting of this license is not here. Let me wait one more minute. I see there's another notation. It's irrespective what the name of the establishment is. What I stated before, we're looking for someone from ANC2B. So ANC2B is the ANC that protested this license application, and so if there's no one from ANC2B here, then what I am going to do is that I'm going to make a motion to dismiss the protest. And so I will make a motion to dismiss the protest. The ANC protest based on their failure to appear at the protest hearing status this morning. Is there a second?
Short, a second.
Mr. Short has seconded the motion. We'll now have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
And Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0-0. What this means, Mr. Bobo, is that the board will issue an order dismissing the protest. ANC 2B will have 10 days to give the board reasonable cause why they failed to appear this morning. If within the 10 days, if ANC 2B responds and give us they give us an explanation as the board determines that it is reasonable why they failed to appear this morning, we will continue this case. If not, the board will dismiss the protest, and the board will instruct the agency to move forward to issue your license, sir. Okay, so that's basically where we are. So we will issue an order today dismissing the protest. The ANC will have 10 days to respond, and based on the response, and of course, once the ANC responds, you will get a copy so you will know what it is, and the board will move forward. But as I stated before, if they fail to respond within the 10 days, or if the board determines that their reasoning for not being here this morning is not reasonable, we will officially dismiss the protest, and the agency will move forward to granting your license. Okay?
Thank you.
All right. Have a great day, sir. All right, the next case in our calendar is case number 23 PRO 00090, Safeway license number 105295. Mr. Oriana, can you please elevate the rights of the licensee and the protestant in this case?
Sure. Zachary Williams, your access has been elevated, and I don't see the protestant in the waiting area. I'll reach out again.
All right, this is ANC 2B. I'll wait one more minute. It's 10:58, so I'll wait till 10:59.
No response, Chairman.
I'll wait till 10:59, then I will, it's 10:58 and probably some seconds. All right, it's 10:59. Mr. Williams, can you please spell and state your name for the record? You're on mute, sir.
Apologies for that. My name is Zachary Williams, ZACHRY-WILLIAMS, attorney representing the applicant.
All right, and I see that the protestant is not here, sir. What this means, all parties are required that for a protest hearing, they are instructed at the roll call that they must show at the protest hearing status. And so because the protestant is not here, I'm going to make a motion that the protest be dismissed. Is there a second?
Mr. Grant, I second that motion.
Mr. Grant has seconded the motion. We'll now have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. What this means, Mr. Williams, is that the board has dismissed the protest. The board will issue an order. The order will be submitted to yourself and the protestant. The protestant will have 10 days to respond to give the board reasonable cause why it failed to appear today at the protest hearing status. If the ANC fails to respond, or if the board determines that the reasoning for not appearing today is not reasonable, the protest will be formally dismissed, and the board will instruct the agency to move forward to issue the renewal of the license without any further restrictions. I do not know if there are any restrictions on the license, but the board will renew the license without imposing any further restrictions. Any questions, sir?
No questions. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. Have a great day.
Thank you.
The next case in our calendar is case number 23 PRO 00099, Safeway, license number 97697. This case has been canceled due to submission of a settlement agreement for the board's review and approval. We now move to our show cause hearing status. The first case on our show cause hearing status is case number 23 CIT 00635, the Ugly Mug Dine-In Saloon. Excuse me, license number 71793. Mr. Oriana, can you please elevate the rights of the government and the licensee in this case?
Sure. I only see the government. Matthew Brown, your access has been elevated. I'll reach out in the chat.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Brown. Can you please spell and state your name for the record?
Good morning to the board. Assistant Attorney General Matthew Brown, MATTHEWBROWN, here on behalf of the district.
Good morning, Mr. Brown. I see that the licensee is not here, but the licensee is not required to be at show cause hearing status. This matter then is scheduled for a show cause hearing on March 27th at 1:30 p.m. I just would like to remind you, Mr. Brown, the government, that 7 days before the hearing, both parties are required to provide the documents and witnesses that they will rely upon at the hearing. Failure by either side to provide the documents and witnesses 7 days prior, unless good cause is shown, the board is empowered to prevent that side from relying on documents and witnesses that have not been previously disclosed. Any questions, sir?
No, sir. Understood.
All right, thank you. All right. The next case in our calendar is case number 23, CMP 00017, Boulevard Lounge, license number 115385. Mr. Oriana, can you please elevate the licensee in this case?
Sure. Theodros Girma, your access has been elevated. That is all, Chairman.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm here.
Do you have a camera, sir, you can turn on?
Yeah, I'm here.
Do you have a camera you can turn on, Mr. Girma?
Yes, I just turned it on, but I don't know if you can see me.
All right. Yes, sir, I can see you. Can you pull the camera down a little bit so I can see your full face, sir? That is fine, thank you. All right.
That's fine.
That is fine, sir. Mr. Brown, can you please identify yourself for the record?
Yes. Good morning again to the board. Matthew Brown, MATTHEWBROWN, Assistant Attorney General on behalf of the district.
Good morning, sir. Mr. Girma, can you please spell and state your name for the record and your relationship to this establishment?
Yeah, THEODROSGIRMA, the owner.
Good morning, sir. Mr. Brown, are there any preliminary matters in this case?
No, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Then this matter is scheduled for a show cause hearing on March 27th at 10:30 a.m. What this means, Mr. Girma, is that since you're contesting these charges on March 27th at 10:30, 7 days prior to the hearing, if you have any documents and witnesses that you will rely upon at the hearing, you are required to exchange those documents and witnesses with the government and also provide a copy of those documents to the board. Failure by your part or the government to provide documents and witnesses 7 days prior to the hearing, the board is empowered to prevent you from moving forward to rely on those documents. Any questions, sir, before I conclude this case?
No, that'll be all.
So you understand the process, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right. All right. So again, if the parties want to settle this case, you can have further conversations. If not, I will see you on March 27th at 10:30 a.m. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye. All right. The next case in our calendar is case number 23, CMP 00084, Buddies DC, license number 123008. Mr. Oriana, can you please elevate the rights of the licensee in this case?
Sure. Grant Mason, your access has been elevated. That is all, Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Mason, do you have a camera you can turn on?
Yes. Can you see me?
Not yet, sir. Yes. All right. Good morning, Mr. Brown. Can you please identify yourself for the record?
Morning, Assistant Attorney General Matthew Brown. That's MATTHEWBROWN on behalf of the district.
Good morning again, Mr. Brown. Mr. Mason, can you please spell and state your name for the record and your relationship to this establishment?
Grant Mason, GRANT, MASON, President, Buddies DC.
Good morning, sir. Mr. Brown, are there any preliminary matters in this case?
No, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Since there are no preliminary matters, this matter then is scheduled for a show cause hearing on March 27th at 10:30 a.m. What this means, Mr. Mason, since you're contesting this case, 7 days before the hearing, both parties are required to submit documents and witnesses that they will rely upon at the hearing. Failure by either side to exchange the documents and identify the witnesses 7 days before the hearing, unless reasonable cause is shown, the board is empowered to prevent that side from relying on those documents and those witnesses if they have not been identified 7 days prior to the hearing. Do you have any questions, sir? Do you understand the process?
Yes, I understand. No questions at this time.
All right, thank you, sir. Then, if this matter is not settled, I will see you then on March 27th at 10:30 a.m. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thank you.
All right. The next case in our calendar is case number 23, CMP 00085. Lunes de Buenos Aires, Argentinian street food, license number 119215. This case has been canceled. The board has been provided with an offer in compromise that we will consider on our legal agenda this morning. And the last case on our calendar today, which is, well, I'm sorry, the last case for this morning's calendar, which is a show cause hearing status, is case number 23, CMP 00014, Kazera Lounge, license number 117490. Is this case yours, Mr. Brown?
No, I don't believe so.
All right, so then you then have a great day, sir. That's the end of your appearance today at the board. So have a great day, sir. So I will ask Mr. Oriana, can you please elevate the rights of the government, the licensee, and the witnesses, and there is an interpreter in this case.
Sure thing. Alicia Hagenmiller, your access has been elevated. Investigator Mark Ruiz, your access has been elevated. Nicholas Pastor, your access has been elevated. Ganet Gonfa, your access has been elevated. And that's all, Chairman.
Thank you. Is the licensee here today? I don't see.
ባለ ላይሰንሱ እዚህ ያለ ዛሬ?
The licensee is supposed to be Miss Mekedes Yeshalash. I'm sorry. Miss Gunfa?
Yes.
Miss Gunfa?
Yes.
You're an interpreter, is that correct?
Yes, I am.
Can you ask in what the language, ma'am, please?
Amharic.
Amharic. Can you ask if there is anyone waiting online to participate in this case for who represents Kazera Lounge, please?
እዚህ ከዘራ ላውንጅን ወክሎ የቆመ አለ? ወይዘሮ መቅደስ ምናልባት?
And there's no one in the waiting area, Chairman.
Who is this Nicholas Pastor? Who's that person?
He's a witness for the government.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no response.
It's 11:12. I'm going to wait 3 more minutes before I call this case. All right, so just let's hold tight for 11:15. And Mr. Oriana, can you just once again put out on the chat that we're waiting for the licensee from Kazera Lounge?
Sure thing. No response, Chairman.
All right, thank you. I'm still going to wait till 11:15. Mr. Pastor, can you mute your line, sir?
Oh, yes.
Thank you. All right. Miss Gonfa, can you please spell and state your name for the record?
Gannet Gonfa, Amharic interpreter.
I need you.
Genet, Genet, Gonfa.
Thank you, ma'am. All right. Miss Hogan Miller, can you please spell and state your name for the record?
Good morning, Assistant Attorney General Alicia Hogenmiller, ALYCIAHOGENMILLER, on behalf of the district.
Thank you, ma'am. This matter was scheduled for a show cause hearing at 10:30 this morning. It is now 11:15. I've called the case, and it does not appear that the licensee is here to contest this case. Ms. Hogan Miller, are you ready and able to move forward with this case, although the licensee is not here?
Yes.
Excuse me. All right, thank you. Ms. Gonfa, the licensee is not here this morning. Thank you for your appearance, ma'am. You are free to go.
Thank you, Chairman. Appreciate it.
Or have a great day.
Thank you.
All right. All right. All right. Pursuant to DC Official Code Section 25447, the board has the authority to proceed ex parte where the licensee waives the hearing or fails to appear unless a hearing is extended for good and sufficient cause. The board's record reflects that the licensee was properly served. I'll give the date shortly. Seeing no licensee here today and having no good and sufficient cause to extend this hearing, the board will proceed with the show cause hearing. All right. So, Miss Hogan Miller, do you wish to make a brief opening statement, ma'am?
Yes, and I had one preliminary matter to put on the record before we started.
Yes, ma'am.
The district was intending to call 3 witnesses today: Investigator Ruiz, Officer Pastore, and Investigator Prout. I learned this morning that Investigator Prout is ill and will not be able to testify, but the district is ready to move forward with the other 2 witnesses.
Okay, that's fine. All right. Thank you for putting that on the record. All right. So you can move forward, ma'am, with your opening statement.
May it please the board. On the morning of February 10th, 2023, Khazar Lounge hid at every turn. When MPD came to their door and knocked on the door, they hid. When ABCA came and knocked on the door, they hid. When the fire department came and knocked on the door, they hid. And what were they hiding? They were hiding the fact that they were operating at 4 a.m. when they were only supposed to be open till 2. They were hiding the fact that they had 67 patrons inside when they were only allowed to have 44. And they were hiding the fact that they were operating their basement level when they were only allowed to operate on the first floor. Members of the board, the district has brought 4 charges today. First, failing to allow MPD officers and ABCA investigators to enter promptly. Second, operating over capacity. Third, operating, selling, and entertaining after board-approved hours. And fourth, expanding operations to another floor. You will hear from 2 witnesses today. First, you will hear from MPD Officer Nicholas Pastore, who will testify about arriving at the establishment around 4 a.m. and hearing noise and music inside the establishment. Officer Pastore will also testify about how MPD knocked on the door but received no response. Next, you will hear from ABCA investigator Mark Ruiz. Investigator Ruiz will testify about how he also knocked on the door and did not receive any response. He will also testify about how when he arrived to the establishment, he saw that the front door had a cage over it and was locked with 2 padlocks. Lastly, Investigator Ruiz will testify about how he counted 67 patrons inside, including patrons that he found in the basement. At the end of today's hearing, the government will ask that you find in its favor on all 4 charges and apply the maximum penalty under the regulations. Thank you.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Does the government have a witness it wishes to call?
Yes, I would like to call MPD Officer Nicholas Pastore.
Officer Pastore, can you raise your right hand? You can unmute your phone, sir.
Gotcha.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
All right, your witness, ma'am.
Thank you. Good morning, Officer Pastore. Could you please introduce yourself and spell and state your name for the record?
Good morning. I'm Officer Nicholas Pastore, NICHOLAS
Where are you currently employed?
Metropolitan Police Department.
And could I refer to the Metropolitan Police Department as MPD?
Yes, ma'am.
What is your position with MPD?
Police officer.
And how long have you been a police officer?
4.5 years.
What are your duties as a police officer?
To respond to calls, assist the citizens of the District of Columbia.
Now let's turn to the current case. Are you familiar with the establishment located at 3013 Georgia Avenue Northwest, Washington, D.C., Kazara Lounge?
Yes, ma'am.
How are you familiar with this establishment?
We received a call to assist ABCA investigators.
And what day was this?
I don't remember off the top of my head what the exact date was. I'm sorry.
If I showed you a copy of a police report you wrote, would that refresh your recollection?
Yes, ma'am.
Chairperson Anderson, I would request permission to share my screen.
Mr. Oyena, can you please allow Ms. Hogan Miller to share her screen?
Access has been granted.
Thank you.
I am sharing Government's Exhibit A, page 56. And let me zoom in. Officer Pastore, do you recognize this document?
Yes, ma'am.
And is this the police report you wrote about your call to Kazara Lounge?
I did not write the report. And one of our colleagues wrote the report, but it is the report about Kazara Lounge.
And now reviewing this report, has it refreshed your recollection on what date you went to Kazara Lounge?
Yes, ma'am.
And what day was that?
February 10th of 2023.
And when did you arrive at the establishment?
Approximately 3:50 in the morning.
Okay, and I will stop sharing my screen now. Why were you called to Kazara Lounge?
To assist ABCA investigators with a lounge that was operating after hours.
When you arrived there, what did you observe?
We heard music coming from the location, and we could hear people talking inside.
And did you see anything when you arrived?
I believe when we first arrived, we saw a few people coming out of the location.
Once you arrived, did you try to get inside the establishment?
Yes, we knocked on the rear door a couple times, announcing that we were the police.
And once you knocked on the door, did anybody answer the door for you?
No, ma'am.
Did you try knocking on the front door?
We did not. No.
And why didn't you?
We were waiting at the back because that is where we saw some patrons leave from. We just did not have the opportunity to go to the front door yet.
While you were there, did the back door eventually open?
Yes.
And about how much time passed from when you first knocked on the back door to when it finally opened?
I believe it might have been close to an hour that we were there.
When you reported to Kazara Lounge, did you turn on your body camera footage?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you review your body camera footage in preparation for today's hearing?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm going to show you the government's Exhibit C. Showing you what's been marked as government's Exhibit C. Please review it silently as it plays, and then I'll ask you some questions about the footage.
Okay.
How much was Audrey in the lights for us?
I have to look it up.
Yeah, here they all come.
Morning.
Yeah, Williams is back here. Hey, Williams.
Yeah.
Hewitt said she's joking.
Yeah, I was just cursing her out.
I don't know why.
This is my second ever incident.
Mm.
Good morning.
Oh yeah, there's quite a few coming out now.
Jesus.
A whole lot. Yep.
You got it. Just don't beat him up.
Yeah, the investigators back here.
You got them, that big fella.
Dump it out.
Dump what?
Dump it out.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Stop playing. Yeah, she said it's going that way.
Where are they still cutting?
Yeah. It's, I mean, everybody
We have the door open back here now.
Officer Pastori, what happened once the back door opened?
We witnessed quite a few patrons leaving the location.
Did any patrons come out with an alcoholic drink?
Yes,
How did you know it was an alcoholic drink?
I could smell the alcoholic beverage.
And is Exhibit C a fair and accurate copy of the footage of your body-worn camera captured on the morning of February 10, 2023?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Anderson, the government will move to admit Exhibit C into evidence.
So moved.
Thank you. After people came out the back door, what did you do next?
We went inside.
And I would now like to show you what's been marked as government's Exhibit E.
If you're downstairs, come up.
DC police! Who's down here?
Oh, I'm going down alone.
How many? Like 10? Who's the owner? Who's the owner? Was that here? No. We got reservation? You don't know what it is?
You guys don't gotta go.
Where's that door going to? Thank you. I don't know. I don't know. All right, come on.
Officer Pastore, once you went inside the establishment, did you find more patrons?
Yes, ma'am.
Where did you find those patrons?
In the basement.
Is Exhibit D a fair and accurate copy of the footage of your body-worn camera captured on the morning of February 10, 2023?
Yes, ma'am.
Chairperson Anderson, I would like to move Exhibit D into evidence.
So moved.
I have no further questions for Officer Pastore.
Any questions by any board members? Go ahead, Mr. Short.
Good morning still, Officer Pastore.
Morning.
4 years of service you have without Metropolitan Police Department, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
What beat is that considered where this address is located?
The 4th District, I believe it is in PSA 409.
Thank you. And again, you were there at 3:59 a.m. on the morning in question,
Yes, sir.
February 10th, 2023.
Yes, sir.
You were at the back door when patrons started coming out, and this would have been approximately after 4 o'clock, apparently, if you were there for a while before. How long were you there before those persons were coming out?
I believe the body-worn camera footage is time-stamped around 5:30 in the morning when they started coming out.
So you arrived there at 4 o'clock, but you weren't admitted until 5:30 a.m.?
Yes, sir.
And was the illegal activity still going on between 4 a.m. and 5:30 a.m.?
Yes, sir.
Again, also, once you were admitted or permitted to go in when persons were coming out at 5:30 a.m., what did you observe when you first went in the rear of this establishment?
When we first went in, I believe that was the kitchen area. We saw a few hookahs sitting around, and then we went downstairs where we observed more patrons sitting in what looked like a lounge to us.
Okay, this is very important to this board and for public safety reasons. I'd like to ask this question. How many entrances or exits or egress did you observe while you were there?
2.
Describe them, please, and which floor were they on?
Both were on the main level floor, the back door that we came in through, and then the front door that the fire department was working on.
Was there a time when you went into the basement?
Yes.
Were there any egress entrances or exits from the basement area?
Not that I noticed.
Okay, so if there were no entrances or exits, and how many people were down in the basement?
I'm not sure off the top of my head. I would assume somewhere between 5 to 10 people were down there.
In your experience as a police officer, had there been a fire on the first floor where the entrances for the rear and front are located? Would persons in the basement have had trouble getting out of the basement and getting rescued?
Yes, very much.
Would you consider that a public safety hazard?
Yes.
We thank you for your service, officer. That's all the questions I have for you at this time. Mr. Chairman, thank you for allowing me to question this witness.
Mr. Short. Any other questions by any other board members? Ms. Hagen-Miller, any redirect?
No redirect. I just asked if Officer Pastore may be excused.
Yes, Officer Pastore, thank you very much for your testimony today. You're free to go. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Thank you.
You too.
Does the government have another witness?
Yes, the government would next like to call Investigator Ruiz.
Mr. Ruiz, can you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth and nothing but the truth? Mr. Ruiz? I can't hear you, sir. Nope.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All right, so raise your right hand. Just let me do it officially. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Your witness, ma'am.
Good morning, Investigator Ruiz. Could you please spell and state your name for the record?
Good morning. First name's Mark, M-A-R-K. Last name's Ruiz, R-U-I-Z.
Where are you currently employed?
The Alcoholic Beverage and Cannabis Administration?
And could I call the Alcohol, Beverage, and Cannabis Administration ABCA?
Yes.
What is your position with ABCA?
Investigator?
How long have you been an investigator?
5 years.
What are your duties as an investigator?
To conduct inspections and investigations of alcohol licensed establishments throughout the District of Columbia.
Now turning to the case today. Are you familiar with the establishment located at 3013 Georgia Avenue Northwest, Washington, D.C., Kazara Lounge?
Yes.
How are you familiar with this establishment?
We arrived on February 10th, 2023 to investigate the establishment for operating after hours.
So before we talk about February 10th, let's go back in time a little bit. Before February 10th, 2023, had you ever been to the establishment before?
Yes.
When was that?
January 20th.
And why were you at the establishment on January 20th?
For another after hours investigation.
Thank you. So we're going to go back to February 10th. What day of the week was February 10th, 2023?
That was a Friday morning.
And when did you arrive at the establishment?
Approximately 4 o'clock a.m.
Why did you go to the establishment that morning?
We were actually driving by the establishment from another incident when I observed the establishment appeared to be operating in an MPD vehicle parked out front with their emergency lights on.
Did you speak with MPD when you arrived?
Yeah, I spoke to the officer in the vehicle, asked her if everything was all right. She stated that they were there for a noise complaint, but the establishment was not responding, so that's why they were sitting there with their emergency lights on.
After you spoke with the MPD officer, what did you do next?
Then attempted to knock to have the door open.
And when you said knock on the door, was it the front door or the back door?
It was at the front door.
What did you observe about the front door when you went there?
The front door had the security cage closed with 2 padlocks locked from the outside.
When you knocked on the front door, did you say anything?
I identified ABCA being present and asked them to open the door.
When you were at the front door, did you hear or observe anything inside the establishment?
I heard music and seen the curtain open a couple times with the patrons, and upon knocking, patrons yelled out the window at us.
What did these patrons yell at you?
Explicitive upon knocking.
And could you tell us what that expletive was?
Quote unquote, fuck you.
And after you knocked, did anybody open the door for you?
No.
After that, what did you do next?
After waiting for a few minutes, our supervisor investigator, Singleton, was on scene. I had informed her that they're refusing to open the door. The door is padlocked. Yeah.
Because the door was padlocked, did you notify anybody else?
Actually, upon notifying SI Singleton, she communicated via the radio with citywide dispatch to ask for the fire marshals and an additional MPD unit to respond to assist.
Why did you request the fire marshals?
Due to the nature and safety of the situation, with the padlocks being locked and with the rear door remained locked, and the only egress, which was the kitchen area.
What did you do after you called the fire marshals unit?
I continued to knock while waiting for them to arrive.
Once the fire marshals arrived, what did they do?
They knocked, made themselves known, attempted to get someone to open the door as well.
And once the fire marshals knocked, did anybody open the door?
No,
Did you ever go to the back door?
I did just before the fire department was getting ready to breach the front door. I went to the rear door to observe just in case anyone came out the back door.
At any point in the morning of February 10th, 2023, did the back door open?
Yes.
How much time passed from when you knocked on the front door to when the back door finally opened?
Approximately an hour total. Hour and a half.
Do you know why the back door eventually was opened?
Because the fire department was sawing the front door off.
Once the back door opened, did you count how many people exited the establishment?
I did.
How did you count those people?
With the assistants using the clicker and observing them exit the rear door.
Did you observe any patrons with alcohol?
Yes.
How did you know it was alcohol?
I could smell it from the cup.
After patrons exited the establishment, did you go inside?
Yes.
Once inside, did you find any more patrons?
Yes.
Where did you find those patrons?
In the basement area.
Were the patrons in the basement area, did they have any alcohol?
I observed one individual with a bottle of Corona.
In total, how many patrons did you count in the establishment?
67.
Next, let's go to some exhibits. Did you complete a case report regarding your investigation on February 10, 2023 of Kazara Lounge?
Yes.
Would you recognize a copy if I were to show it to you?
Yes.
I'm going to show you a document marked as Exhibit A for identification. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, this is a case report I wrote.
Is it part of your job as an investigator to write case reports?
Yes.
Mr. Chairperson, the district would like to note for the record that Government Exhibit A, the February 10, 2023 case report for Kazara Lounge is already in evidence pursuant to 23 DCMR 1713.10.
So noted. Thank you.
Investigator Ruiz, I'm going to turn your attention to Exhibit 1 of your report. What is this photo in Exhibit 1 showing?
This is showing the front door of the establishment with the security cage closed with the padlocks on the cage.
Is this how the front door looked before the fire department cut off the front door?
Yes.
Now let's go to Exhibit 2. What is this photo in Exhibit 2 showing?
This is the basement area.
Is this where you found the additional patrons?
Yes.
Let us go to Exhibit 4 of your report. Zoom in. What is Exhibit 4 showing?
The establishment certificate of occupancy.
What is the occupancy for the establishment?
44.
On February 10th, 2023, did the establishment have more than 44 people?
Yes.
Looking under description of occupancy, what does it say?
Restaurant on the first floor with 44 occupants, 36 seats.
And next to the occupant load on the left, it says floors occupied. What does that say?
First.
Based on the certificate of occupancy, was the establishment allowed to have patrons in the basement level?
No.
Next, we're going to turn to Exhibit 5. Investigator Ruiz, what is Exhibit 5 showing? Scroll down.
Exhibit 5 is a copy of the notice of infractions issued by the fire department to the establishment.
Thank you. I'm next going to show you the government's Exhibit B. Do you recognize Exhibit B?
Yes, this is a copy of the ABC license for Kazira Lounge.
Is this a true and accurate copy of Kazara Lounge's ABCA license?
Yes.
Chairperson Anderson, I would like to move Exhibit B into evidence.
So moved.
Let me zoom in first. For Thursdays, what is the listed hours of operation?
8:30 a.m. to 2 a.m.
Based on your observations, was the establishment operating after hours on the morning of February 10th, 2023?
Yes.
Investigator Ruiz, were there any other ABCA investigators with you at Kazara Lounge on the morning of February 10th, 2023?
Yes. ABCA investigator Tavril Prout and Christopher Condon were present.
In preparing your report, did you review any photos or videos from other ABCA investigators who were there that morning?
Yes.
And what did you review?
Investigator Tavril Prout shared his videos that he took while he was out front with the fire department.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as the government's Exhibit F.
Yes.
Is Exhibit F one of the videos that Investigator Prout sent you?
Yes.
Is this a video that he took at Kazara Lounge?
Yes.
Is this a true and accurate copy of the video that Investigator Prout sent you?
Yes.
Chairperson Anderson, at this time, I'd like to move Exhibit F into evidence.
So move. Can also, what is Exhibit F?
I was just about to ask. Investigator.
Okay, all right, I apologize. Go ahead.
Investigator Ruiz, what was happening in this video?
This video was depicting the fire department's operation in breaching the front door.
Now turn to Exhibit G. I'm going to show you a video marked Exhibit G. Is Exhibit G one of the videos that Investigator Prout sent you?
Yes.
What is happening in the video in Exhibit G?
It's the fire department sawing the front door off the hinges.
Is Exhibit G a true and accurate copy of the video that Investigator Prout sent you?
Yes.
Chairperson Anderson, at this time, I'd like to move Exhibit G into evidence.
So move.
Lastly, let's look at a video marked Exhibit H. Investigator Rez, can you hear the sound?
Yes.
Okay, great.
I'll open the door with a key. Open it now or we'll open it. Stand over here. Stand over here while they figure it out. I got a back door, they're gonna go out.
I'm going to pause this video at 56 seconds. Who was depicted in this video?
This is one of the fire marshal investigators attempting to have the establishment open the door one last time prior to them following the door.
And did you hear what he said in the video?
Yes, for them to open the door, unlock the door with a key.
And I'm going to continue playing the video from 56 seconds. What was the rest of the video in Exhibit H showing?
The fire department saw on the door hinges.
Is Exhibit H one of the videos Investigator Prout sent to you from that morning?
Yes.
Is Exhibit H a true and accurate copy of that video?
Yes.
Chairperson Anderson, I would like to move Exhibit H into evidence.
So moved.
Investigator Prout, at any point on the morning of February 10, 2023, were you able to speak with the owner or ABC manager?
I was only able to speak with the ABC manager.
And who's the ABC manager?
Cecile DeWitt.
What was your conversation with Mr. DeWitt?
I simply informed him the violations that occurred with the after hours operation. And then that was it. The fire department continued to speak with him afterwards.
Were any ABCA investigators able to speak with the owner of the establishment that morning?
Investigator Prout stated that he observed who appeared to be the owner getting into a ride share, avoiding contact with government officials.
Thank you, Investigator Ruiz. I have no further questions.
Before you're done with this witness, did you wish to, Ms. Hogan Miller, I don't recall if you asked to move Exhibit F into evidence. Do you plan to move Exhibit F into evidence?
I believed I did, but if not, then I would also like to move Exhibit F into evidence.
Okay, so moved. All right.
Thank you.
Any questions by any board members? Go ahead, Mr. Short.
Yes, good morning, Investigator Ruiz. Thank you for an excellent report. Investigator Ruiz, I must ask this question, and I hope you can answer it. How many years have you been with Aubrey as an investigator?
5 years this month.
And in your 5 years, have you encountered licensees like this one who lock their doors and ignore any orders to open up and let the fire marshal or police department in?
Yes, I have.
Has things got any better in these last few years than they were when you first observed these things?
No.
How long have you had the assistance of the fire department to open up doors that were locked?
This was the first time they actually had to saw a door off, but they've been present before on other incidents.
And if they don't saw the doors open, do people normally open up and let you in, or they just wait you out?
After a while, they usually end up opening the door.
Why do they lock the doors when you're asking them to come in? What is the danger to them? What is the danger to the persons who are inside?
I'm sorry. What's your question?
What is the danger to the patrons inside when they're operating after hours and refuse to open the doors for the fire marshal's office or for Arbor employees? What dangers does that pose to the public?
Any incident that occurs that may cause panic, and patrons could become injured or worse.
By worse, what are you alluding to?
Patrons can be killed.
Investigator Ruiz, thank you for an excellent report. Thank you for your testimony today. Thank you for the service to ABCA over the past 5 years. And thank you. This was an excellent report and excellent documentation. My last question is, does Kazira Lounge still have an active license?
Yes.
So in reality, they could open tonight. Is that correct?
They could.
Do you have any recommendations for this board to assist in making sure that we don't have people locked in Kazira Lounge tonight or any other night? What remedies do we have as an agency, and what remedies do you have as an investigator?
I don't have no remedies as an investigator. I have no recommendation.
Thank you very much, Investigator Luis. Excellent report, excellent documentation, and thank you for your service over the years with our home.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions by any of the board members?
Mr. Chair, just
go ahead, Mr. Grant.
So this question is not for Mr. Ruiz, and you can let me know if I'm out of order for asking the question. Maybe the OAG can answer. Is that possible?
No, she can't answer a question, Mr. Grant. You can only ask the witness a question at this juncture.
Okay. Well, I want to make a note that I do have a general question about the process with the fire department breaking down the door, but I can wait, but I'd like to ask it at some point.
That's a question you'll have to ask. If you have a question, you can only ask a question of the investigator at this juncture. So
Understood.
if it's yeah, so that's probably something we can discuss internally then. All right. Just generally, we can discuss internally. All right, Ms. Hogan Miller, do you have any redirect?
No redirect.
Mr. Ruiz, thank you very much for your testimony. You're free to go.
Thank you.
Ms. Hogan Miller, does the government have another witness?
No, the government rests its case. But actually, before we rest, I just wanted to make sure the exhibits I have. Exhibit A, B, C, D.
Hold on a minute, please.
Oh.
All right. Let me hold on a minute. All right, so we had not discussed Exhibit A. So what was Exhibit A?
The case report in the exhibits.
And that's okay, so that's automatic in the record. Exhibit B, it's already in the record. C, D, what are the exhibits?
FGH.
And FGH, yes, all those exhibits are in the record.
Then the government rests its case.
All right, thank you. Do you wish to make a brief closing statement?
Yes, I have a brief closing statement.
Okay.
May it please the board. Kazira Lounge has been hidden at every turn of this case. The government has brought 4 charges, and we're going to review the evidence for each of them. First, failing to allow ABCA investigators and MPD officers to enter without delay. You heard Officer Pastore testify that him and his partner arrived at the scene around 3:50 in the morning. He testified about how they knocked and how they received no answer. He then told you that the establishment did not open its door for over an hour later. You also heard from Investigator Ruiz. He also testified about how he and other ABCA investigators knocked on the door. In this case, they did receive an answer. They had the patrons tell him, quote, "fuck you," and no one opened the door. He also testified about how it took them almost an hour for the back door to open. Kazira Lounge failed to allow MPD officers and ABCA investigators to enter the premises without delay. Therefore, they interfered and failed to cooperate with an investigation. Second, the Kazara Lounge was operating over capacity. You saw the certificate of occupancy, which says that the lounge is only allowed to have 44 people inside. Investigator Ruiz testified that he counted 67 people inside. You also saw on the body camera footage people exiting the establishment and that there were more people in the basement. Third, Kazara Lounge was operating after board-approved hours. You saw on the ABCA license that the lounge was only allowed to operate on Thursdays until 2 in the morning. Officer Pastore testified about how he arrived at 4 in the morning and how he heard noise and music still going on inside. Investigator West testified that he saw and heard patrons inside the establishment and that they were still operating. Lastly, Kazara Lounge expanded its operation to another floor. You saw again on the certificate of occupancy that the Kazara Lounge was only allowed to operate on the first floor. Both Investigator Ruiz and Officer Pastore testified that they found patrons in the basement, which they were not allowed to have. You also saw on the body camera footage that there were patrons in the basement. And for those reasons, that's why Kazara Lounge hid from investigators and MPD officers, because they knew that they were violating their terms of their license, and they've hid today by not appearing at this hearing. Therefore, the government would ask that you find in favor in all 4 charges and apply the maximum penalty possible under the regulations. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your closing. The record is now closed, and the board will issue a decision within 90 days. So let me officially close this case. As chairperson of the Alcoholic Beverage and Cannabis Board for the District of Columbia, and in accordance with DC Official Code Section 2575 of the Open Meetings Act, I move that ABC Board hold a closed meeting for the purpose of seeking legal advice from our counsel on case number 23 CMP 00014 Kazara Lounge, pursuant to DC Official Code Section 2575B4A of the Open Meetings Act, and deliberate upon case number 23 CMP 00014 Kazara Lounge for the reasons cited in DC Official Code Section 2575B13 of the Open Meetings Act. Is there a second?
Mr. Grant, I second the motion.
Mr. Grant was a second the motion. I will now take a roll call vote on the motion. But first, now it has been properly seconded. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. As it appears that the motion has passed 3-0, I hereby give notice that the ABC Board will recess this proceeding to hold a closed meeting pursuant to Section 2575 of the Open Meetings Act. Thank you, ma'am, for your presentation today. Have a great day.
Thank you all.
All right, thank you. All right, so we are now at our at the end of our morning calendar, and so let me call our afternoon case. We had a protest here in case number 23 PRO 00080, Lucky Corner Store license number 93115, that was scheduled for a protest hearing at 1:30. This case has been canceled. The board was provided a settlement agreement that the board will review and that the board will review on its legal agenda today. All right, so therefore we have now dispensed with our calendar for the day. And since we have dispensed with our calendar for the day, let me now do our legal agenda, the medical cannabis agenda. The first matter on our legal agenda, medical cannabis, review of protestants' abutting property owners' request for reconsideration of board order number 2024-043 dated February 6, 2024, in case number 24 PRO 0003 and case number 24 PRO 0005, Powerhouse Cultivation Center, license number 126410. I make a motion that we deny this request. Is there a second?
Short, I second.
Mr. Short, I second the motion. We'll now have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. Number 2, review of applicants' opposition to protestants abutting property owners' request for reconsideration of Board Order Number 2024-043 dated February 13th, 2024, in case number 2024 PRO 0003 and case number 24 PRO 0005, Powerhouse Cultivation Center, license number 126410. This is now moot. Number 3, review of protestant abutting property owners' reply to opposition to request for reconsideration of Board Order Number 2024-043 dated February 16th, 2024, in case numbers 24 PRO 0003 and case number 24 PRO 0005, Powerhouse Cultivation Center, license number 126410. This is also moot. Number 5, review of motion to stay proceedings in the matter of the board's rejection of a medical cannabis retailer application dated February 14th, 2024. This is DeLorean, license number 126807. I make a motion that we approve this request. Is there a second?
Mr. Grant, I second the motion.
Mr. Grant has seconded the motion. We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
And Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. We now move to our legal agenda, alcohol beverages. The first matter on our legal agenda, alcohol beverages, review of an offer in compromise in lieu of a hearing dated February 26, 2024 for case number 23 CMP 00085. Lunes de Buenos Aires, Argentinian street food, license number 119215. The offer in compromise is as follows. Charge 1, provided false statement, statutory authority, DC Code Section 25823A5C. There is a $1,000 fine payable within 30 days or the license shall be suspended indefinitely until the fine is paid. Charge 2, operated as summer garden without the board approval, statutory authority, DC Code Section 25113.01C. There is a warning for this charge. I therefore make a motion that the offer in compromise be accepted. Is there a second?
Short, I second.
Mr. Short has seconded the motion. We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
And Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. Number 2, review of a settlement agreement dated January 16th, 2024 by and between Advisory Neighborhood Commission 6B and Barrack Row Joey's, license number 126828. I make a motion that we approve this request. Is there a second?
Mr. Grant, I second the motion.
Mr. Grant has seconded the motion. We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. Number 3, review of settlement agreement dated February 21st, 2024 by and between Advisory Neighborhood Commission 2A and Hotel AKA Washington Circle, license number 127173. I make a motion that we approve this request. Is there a second?
Short, I second.
Mr. Short and Mr. Grant have seconded the motion. We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. Number 4, review of a settlement agreement dated February 22nd, 2024 by and between Advisory Neighborhood Commission 4D and Lucky Corner Store, license number 093115. I make a motion that we approve this request. Is there a second?
Mr. Grant, I second the motion.
Mr. Grant has seconded the motion. We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. Number 5, review of a settlement agreement dated February 21st, 2024 by and between Advisory Neighborhood Commission 5E and Okabul Street Food and Restaurant, license number 126820. I make a motion that we approve this request. Is there a second?
Short, I second.
Mr. Short, I second the motion. We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. Number 6, review of settlement agreement dated February 20th, 2024 by and between Advisory Neighborhood Commission 3F and Caldwell Family Vines, license number 122137. I make a motion that we approve this request. Is there a second?
Mr. Grant, I second the motion.
Mr. Grant has seconded the motion. We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. Number 7, review of a settlement agreement dated February 23rd, 2024 by and between the Colorama Citizens Association and Mason, license number 126133. I make a motion that we approve this request. Is there a second?
Mr. Grant, I second the motion.
Mr. Grant has seconded the motion. We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
And Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. Number 8, review of amendment to settlement agreement dated February 27th, 2024 by and between Advisory Neighborhood Commission 6D and Safeway, license number 097697. I make a motion that we approve this request. Is there a second?
Short, I second.
Mr. Short, I second the motion. We have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
And Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. Number 9, review of request to reinstate canceled license dated February 2nd, 2024. The license was canceled on February 14th, 2024 by board order number 2024-074. This is Maze 64, license number 118648. I make a motion that we approve this request. Is there a second?
Mr. Grant, I second the motion.
Mr. Grant has seconded the motion. We'll now have a roll call vote. Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson. I'm sorry, Mr. Short.
Short, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. We now move to our medical cannabis licensing agenda. The first matter on our medical cannabis license agenda, this is the conditional cultivation center and manufacture applications. Number 1, review of social equity application for a new cultivation center. This is Blaze DC, license number 127019. I make a motion that we approve this request. Is there a second?
Mr. Grant, I second the motion.
Mr. Grant has seconded the motion. We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. Number 2, review of social equity application for a new manufacturer. This is Blaze DC, license number 127020. I make a motion that we approve this request. Is there a second?
Short, I second.
Mr. Short has seconded the motion. We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. Number 3, review of standard application for a new cultivation center. This is SK Quality Services US Corp. License number 126753. I make a motion that we approve this request. Is there a second?
Mr. Grant, I second the motion.
Mr. Grant has seconded the motion. We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. Number 4, review of standard application for new manufacturer. This is SK Quality Services US Corp. License number 126754. I make a motion that we approve this request. Is there a second?
Mr. Grant, sorry.
Mr. Short and Mr. Grant have seconded the motion. We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. These are now the social equity retailer application. Number 5, review of social equity application for new retailer. This is Chocolate City Wellness, license number 127461. I make a motion that we placard this matter. Is there a second?
Mr. Grant, I second the motion.
Mr. Grant has seconded the motion. We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. Number 6, review of social equity application for new retailer license. This is for DC Garden Hill, license number 127570. I make a motion that we placard this matter. Is there a second?
Short, I second.
Mr. Short, I second the motion. We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Short, I agree.
Mr. Hill. I'm sorry, Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. We now move to the standard retail application on the same agenda. Number 7, review of standard application for new retailer license with delivery endorsement. This is for Columbia Heights Market, license number 127497. I make a motion that we placard this matter. Is there a second?
Mr. Grant, I second the motion.
Mr. Grant has seconded the motion. We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. Number 8, review of standard application for new retailer license with delivery endorsement. This is for Green Label, license number 127434. I make a motion that we refer this matter back to licensing. Is there a second?
Mr. Short, I second.
Mr. Short, I second the motion. We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. Number 9, review of standard application for new retailer license with delivery endorsement. This is for All Vibes, VYBEZ license number 127484. I make a motion that we placard this matter. Is there a second?
Mr. Grant, I second the motion.
Mr. Grant has seconded the motion. We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. Number 10, review of standard application for new retailer license with delivery and education taste and endorsement. This is for Verge Enterprises LLC, license number 127258. I make a motion that we placard this matter. Is there a second?
Mr. Short, I second.
Mr. Short has seconded the motion. We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. We now move to the standard internet retail application on the same agenda. Number 11, review of standard application for new internet retailer license. This is for Herbal Harvest, license number 127542. I make a motion that we placard this matter. Is there a second?
Mr. Grant, I second the motion.
Mr. Grant has seconded the motion. We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. These are requests on the same agenda, licensee requests. Number 12, review of renewal extension for current retailer license. This is Anacostia Organics, license number 117379. I make a motion that we approve this request. Is there a second?
Mr. Grant, I second the motion.
Mr. Grant has seconded the motion. We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. Number 13, review of transfer application for current retailer license. This is for Cannabis, license number 117380. I make a motion that we approve this request. Is there a second?
Mr. Short, I second.
Mr. Short, I second the motion. We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. We now move to the medical cannabis license administrative docket. There are 2 applicants on this docket. I will name the 2. I'll make a motion that the 2 establishments on the medical cannabis license administrative docket, that without objection, they're approved. Is there a second?
Mr. Grant, I second the motion.
Mr. Grant has seconded the motion. We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. All right. Let's now move to our licensing agenda. The first matter on our licensing agenda, review application for stipulated license with letter of ANC support for a new ABC license. This is for Booze and Villa / Lord of the Drinks, license number 127165. I make a motion that we approve this request. Is there a second?
Short, I second.
Mr. Short, I second the motion. We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. Number 2, review request to remove the license from safekeeping to reopen the business under new ownership. This is for Han Place, Georgetown, license number 126501. I make a motion that we approve this request. Is there a second?
Mr. Grant, I second the motion.
Mr. Grant has seconded the motion. We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. Number 3, review application for safekeeping of license. This is for Tom's Watch Bar, license number 119403. I make a motion that we approve this request through September 30th, 2024. Is there a second?
Mr. Grant, I second the motion.
Mr. Grant has seconded the motion. We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. Number 4, review application for sidewalk cafe endorsement with 12 seats. This is for Lunes de Buenos Aires Argentinian street food, license number 119215. I make a motion that we placard this matter. Is there a second?
Short, I second.
Mr. Short and Mr. Grant have seconded the motion. We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter pass 3-0. Number 5, review application for entertainment endorsement to provide live entertainment with dancing and cover charge inside the premises and outside in the proposed sidewalk cafe. This is for Lunes de Buenos Aires Argentina street food, license number 119215. I make a motion that we placard this matter. Is there a second?
Mr. Grant, I second the motion.
Mr. Grant has seconded the motion. We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. Number 6, review application for change of hours. This is for Hades 2000, license number 060187. I make a motion that we approve this request. Is there a second?
Short, I second.
Mr. Short, I second the motion. We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. Number 7, review application for the carry out and delivery endorsement. This is Mary Bar and Grills, license number 124927. I make a motion that we approve this request. Is there a second?
Mr. Grant, I second the motion.
Mr. Grant has seconded the motion. We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passes 3-0. We now move to our supplemental licensing agenda. The first matter on our supplemental license agenda, review application for stipulated liquor license contingent upon receipt of a letter of ANC support for licensed premises expansion request. This is for Rice Restaurant and Bar, license number 060730. I make a motion that we approve this request. Is there a second?
Short, I second.
Mr. Short, I second the motion. We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. Number 2, review application for a new Class B full-service grocery store. This is for Trader Joe's number 819, license number 127703. I make a motion that we placard this matter. Is there a second?
Mr. Grant, I second the motion.
Mr. Grant has seconded the motion. We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, Mr. Short, did I call Mr. Short? Mr. Short?
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. All right, so let's now move to our cancellation agenda. The ABC board will be canceling the following licenses that are listed on our cancellation agenda on February 28th, 2024 without objection. Is there a second?
Mr. Short, I second.
Mr. Short has seconded the motion. We'll now have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
And Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. Let's now move to our medical cannabis licensing cancellation agenda. The ABC board will be canceling the following license for the reasons outlined before. So without objection, the licenses that are listed on the medical cannabis licensing cancellation agenda for February 28th, 2024, without objection. Is there a second?
Mr. Grant, I second the motion.
Mr. Grant has seconded the motion. We'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
And Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passes 3-0. Let's now move to the board's licensing administrative docket for February 28th. On this docket, there are 20 applicants. And so without objection, I make a motion that the board approves all the applicants on the licensing administrative docket for Wednesday, February 28th, 2024. Is there a second?
Mr. Grant, I second the motion.
Mr. Grant has seconded the motion. Let's have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. And our final agenda for the day, it's the board temporary license and one-day substantial change. On this agenda, there are 36 applicants, and number 36 is the CH Management Corp., which is a pub crawl, and the recommendation is that we will approve 1,500 participants. So I therefore make a motion that all the 36 requests on the boards, all 36 applicants on the board's temporary one-day and substantial change docket be approved without objection. Is there a second?
Short, I second.
Mr. Short, I second the motion. We'll now have a roll call vote. Mr. Short.
Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
And Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. We're now at the end of our calendar and our agenda items for the day. And without objection, I will now close the record for the day. As chairperson of the Alcoholic Beverage and Cannabis Board for the District of Columbia, and in accordance with Title III, Chapter 4 or 5, Office of the Open Government, I move that ABC Board hold a closed meeting on February 29th for the purpose of discussing and hearing reports concerning ongoing or planned investigations of alleged criminal or civil misconduct or violations of law or regulations, and seeking legal advice from our legal counsel on the board's investigative agenda, legal agenda, and licensing agenda for February 29th, as published in DC Register on February 23rd. Is there a second?
Mr. Grant, I second the motion.
Mr. Grant has seconded the motion. I will now take a roll call vote on the motion before now that it has been properly seconded. Mr. Short.
Mr. Short, I agree.
Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grant, I agree.
Mr. Anderson, I agree. The matter passed 3-0. As it appears that the motion has passed, I hereby give notice that ABC Board will hold this closed meeting pursuant to the Open Meetings Act. Notice will also be posted on the ABC Board hearing room bulletin board, placed on electronic calendar on ABCA's website, and published in the DC Register in as timely a manner as practical. We're now adjourned for the day. I would want to thank the members of the public and all the board members who actively participate in this hearing. I would ask all board members to return to executive session. I would like all board members to return to executive session. Thank you, or have a great day.